Today, we're exploring the key ideas from What Got You Here Won't Get You There, Marshall Goldsmith, Mark Reiter. This is an independent educational overview, enriched with our own integrative analysis and actionable exercises. Think of it as a guided reflection to spark your own insights, not a replacement for reading the book itself. In the relentless pursuit of achievement, individuals often discover a perplexing paradox. The very traits and tactics that propelled them to success can, over time, become insurmountable barriers to further growth. This journey, marked by rising influence and expanded responsibilities, frequently exposes an uncomfortable truth. Past triumphs can blind us to present shortcomings. It is not a deficit of intelligence or skill that stalls progress, but a subtle erosion of interpersonal effectiveness, an unexamined collection of habits that inadvertently alienate colleagues, stifle innovation, and undermine trust. The challenge lies in a fundamental lack of self-awareness. Highly capable people, accustomed to being right and driving results, can lose sight of how their actions genuinely land with others. They operate without a crucial internal compass, unaware that a habit intended as helpful contribution might be perceived as micromanagement, or that a desire for loyalty could manifest as exclusionary favoritism. These aren't deep-seated psychological pathologies, but rather minor behavioral tics, repeated actions that, like a persistent drip, gradually wear away goodwill and silently sabotage an otherwise promising trajectory. The insights offered here illuminate this precise inflection point, detailing both the subtle betrayals of success and a clear, actionable path to evolving beyond what got you here to embrace what will get you there. The paradox of accomplishment. Many successful professionals find themselves at an unexpected crossroads where their established patterns, though instrumental in past achievements, now actively impede their future ascent. This phenomenon often stems from a deeply entrenched success delusion, a self-aggrandizing belief system where individuals overestimate their contributions, skills, and overall standing, while conveniently overlooking or downplaying setbacks. While this robust self-confidence can be a powerful engine for overcoming doubt and driving ambition, it becomes a formidable obstacle when personal change is required. When confronted with feedback suggesting a need for adjustment, the initially successful typically cycle through predictable stages of resistance. Confusion, they must be mistaken about what happened. Denial, this feedback simply doesn't apply to my situation. And finally, outright attack. Why should I even entertain criticism from someone who doesn't understand the pressures I face? This deep-seated resistance is fueled by four core beliefs that, paradoxically, underpin their previous achievements, but now anchor them firmly against necessary evolution. First, the belief, "I have succeeded," cultivates an almost unwavering conviction in one's innate abilities. Such individuals consistently replay their career highlights, mentally curating a narrative of triumphs while conveniently editing out failures. This habit leads to an inflated sense of personal responsibility for team successes, often causing them to rank their performance unrealistically high amongst peers. While this self-belief is undoubtedly motivating, it concurrently makes acknowledging personal flaws an almost existential threat. Second, the conviction, "I can succeed," speaks to a potent sense of self-efficacy, the unwavering belief that one possesses the personal capability to orchestrate desired outcomes. These individuals typically possess a strong internal locus of control, attributing their accomplishments primarily to their own motivation, talent, and strategic effort, rather than to external factors or sheer luck. This mindset, while driving immense personal agency, often leads to a misattribution error. They erroneously credit all positive results, even those significantly influenced by circumstance or sheer luck, solely to their own doing. This makes them highly resistant to the notion that any of their behaviors could be counterproductive.
For instance, a manager might believe their brusque communication style is a sign of decisive leadership, rather than recognizing it as a deterrent to open feedback, all because projects still succeed under their watch. Third, the belief "I will succeed" manifests as an almost irrepressible optimism and an insatiable drive for future achievement. Highly motivated, such individuals are inherently drawn to opportunities, often to the point of severe overcommitment. They struggle immensely to decline new ventures, frequently finding themselves drowning in a sea of opportunity. This perpetual busyness, while reflecting ambition, leaves virtually no mental or temporal space for introspective self-improvement or the dedicated work required for behavioral change. They are too busy chasing the next horizon to notice the foundational cracks forming beneath their feet. Finally, the belief "I choose to succeed" highlights a profound need for self-determination. Successful people prefer to operate on their own terms, making choices rather than being dictated by external pressures. This deep commitment to their chosen paths creates significant cognitive dissonance when presented with evidence that contradicts their existing beliefs or actions. Their steadfastness, while enabling incredible perseverance, actively works against the acceptance of a need for personal transformation. If they've chosen a certain way of operating and it has led to success, why would they choose to change it? These four foundational beliefs converge to form what can be termed a superstition trap. Individuals mistakenly forge a causal link between specific behaviors, even those that are ultimately negative, and their success. They confuse correlation with genuine causality, falling prey to the flawed logic, "I behave this way and I achieve results, therefore I must be achieving results because I behave this way." In reality, many successful individuals thrive in spite of certain problematic behaviors, not because of them. A brilliant, highly effective software architect, for example, might consistently interrupt colleagues during brainstorming sessions. If a groundbreaking product emerges from their team, they might attribute its success to their decisive steering or rigorous idea filtering, rather than acknowledging that their talent allowed them to succeed despite their habit of stifling junior contributions. Overcoming this trap requires a critical distinction, identifying which behaviors are genuinely instrumental to success and which are simply tolerated alongside it. Ultimately, people, particularly those who have achieved significant success, will only undertake the arduous journey of behavioral change if they perceive it to be aligned with their deeply held self-interests, what is often called natural law. Change cannot be imposed. It must be intrinsically linked to an individual's core values and aspirations. Common catalysts for change, often referred to as hot buttons, can range from tangible rewards like money, power, or status, to more profound aspirations such as leaving a meaningful legacy, being a respected role model, or simply experiencing deeper personal satisfaction. Identifying and consciously linking desired behavioral adjustments to these potent personal motivators is paramount to overcoming ingrained resistance. When a leader's most cherished values, or their vision for their own future, are perceived to be jeopardized by current behaviors, they are far more likely to commit wholeheartedly to the demanding process of transformation.
Rather than striving to adopt a multitude of new, often artificial positive behaviors, a more effective initial approach for many is simply to shift into neutral, to stop engaging in detrimental actions. For instance, instead of forcing oneself to be nicer, one might simply focus on stopping mean comments by pausing before speaking. This act of omission is often easier to initiate and, critically, creates a void into which genuine positive interactions can naturally flow. The most impactful changes often involve discontinuing behaviors that degrade interpersonal interactions, such as an insatiable need to win too much in every discussion, or the habit of adding too much value by always interjecting one's own ideas, thereby diminishing others' ownership. Other common traps include the subtle cruelty of passing judgment,
the damaging sting of making destructive comments, or the communication barrier created by constantly starting with no, but, or however. Leaders might also undermine trust by withholding information or breed resentment by failing to give proper recognition or claiming credit that is not deserved. Accountability issues arise from making excuses, clinging to the past, or passing the buck. Finally, the ultimate barrier to growth is an excessive need to be me, where flaws are defended as unchangeable aspects of one's authentic self, rather than opportunities for evolution. Correcting these deeply ingrained patterns typically does not require acquiring new skills, but rather a conscious and disciplined effort to simply cease engaging in them. Underpinning many of these interpersonal frictions is often a profound goal obsession. While an intense drive to achieve objectives is a hallmark of success, it becomes problematic when this singular focus overshadows a broader mission, core values, or the impact on others. This tunnel vision can lead to ethical compromises, a loss of empathy, and an inability to perceive the wider repercussions of one's actions. For example, an executive might relentlessly pursue a quarterly sales target, inadvertently fostering a cutthroat internal environment where colleagues are sabotaged, crucial information is hoarded, and long-term client relationships are damaged, all in service of a narrow, immediate objective that ultimately undermines the company's sustainable success. To counteract this, a vital practice is regular introspection, asking, "What am I really doing?" and "Why am I doing this?" to realign immediate aims with a deeper, more enduring purpose.
The transformative path: cultivating conscious growth. The journey from a plateau of success to continued personal and professional advancement hinges on a structured, deliberate approach to behavioral change. This process begins with a crucial yet often uncomfortable component: feedback. For highly successful individuals, feedback can be particularly challenging to receive, primarily due to a delusion of competence, a tendency to overestimate one's own performance and impact. This makes critical input feel less like constructive advice and more like an unfair attack. Moreover, power dynamics and a natural fear of retaliation often make subordinates and peers reluctant to provide honest assessments. Yet, without clear feedback, a leader lacks the vital diagnostic tool needed to understand their current standing and measure any future progress. To unlock truly honest and helpful feedback, a leader must proactively establish an environment of profound trust. This involves seeking the 4 commitments from those whose input is valued. First, a willingness to let go of the past, focusing strictly on future improvement rather than dwelling on old mistakes. Second, a pledge to tell the truth, candidly and without fear of reprisal. Third, a commitment to be supportive and helpful, offering constructive assistance rather than cynical judgment. And finally, a reciprocal agreement for the feedback provider to pick something to improve themselves, fostering a sense of parity and a shared journey in personal development. When receiving this precious input, one golden rule reigns supreme. Simply say, "Thank you." No defensiveness, no explanations, no justifications, just sincere gratitude. Feedback manifests in various forms. Solicited feedback is directly requested. And for personal growth, the most potent question is not a general "what do you think of me?" but a specific "how can I do better?" This future-focused framing minimizes emotional responses and focuses on actionable advice. Unsolicited feedback often arrives as a blindside event, moments where others reveal aspects of ourselves that are completely unknown to us, much like the hidden quadrants of the Johari window. While potentially jarring, these revelations offer profound opportunities for self-awareness and dramatic, course-correcting change. Finally, observational feedback involves the quiet, careful noticing of subtle cues and behaviors from the world around you. This less explicit form of input can be remarkably insightful. For example, paying attention to patterns in casual remarks people make about a particular behavior or turning the sound off in a meeting to observe nonverbal communication can yield powerful insights into how one's presence is truly experienced. Reflecting on one's deeper motivations by completing sentences like, "If I improve my listening, one benefit will be," can uncover personal values tied to change. And even identifying what others boast about as strengths can often indirectly reveal their hidden weaknesses, offering a mirror for self-reflection. Perhaps most impactful, observing how professional flaws manifest in personal relationships, seeing a pattern of impatience at work mirrored in interactions with a loved one, can provide undeniable motivation for change. Beyond initial feedback, the magic move for mending fractured relationships and signaling a clear intention to change is a genuine apology. It is presented as the most profoundly healing and restorative gesture an individual can make, establishing a vital emotional contract. Many find admitting fault challenging, yet its transformative power lies in its simplicity. To apologize effectively, follow 3 essential steps. First, state clearly, "I'm sorry," taking direct ownership of the mistake or its impact. Second, optionally, add, "I'll try to do better in the future," offering a forward-looking commitment. Third, and most crucially, say nothing more. Absolutely no explanations, justifications, or attempts to qualify the apology. Any additional words, however well-intentioned, can dilute sincerity, shift blame, or be perceived as rationalizing the offense. The power lies in focusing entirely on the other person's experience and accepting responsibility without caveats. Once a need for improvement is acknowledged, it is crucial to advertise your commitment to change. An apology alone is insufficient. You must explicitly declare your intention and demonstrate concrete steps. People's perceptions are notoriously resistant to change due to cognitive dissonance. They tend to filter new behaviors through existing stereotypes. To counter this, proactively inform others about your efforts, repeating your message consistently and inviting their input. This shifts your endeavors onto their radar, slowly eroding old preconceptions. Major personal transformations often navigate a dumb phase, a period where they are not immediately understood or accepted, requiring time and persistent communication to sink in. This is akin to a new corporate initiative needing political buy-in across various levels. Many change efforts fail because they focus only on initial planning without engaging in the critical steps of wooing superiors for approval, peers for agreement, and direct reports for acceptance. You must act as your own press secretary, relentlessly communicating your evolving self. A cornerstone of effective interpersonal engagement and learning is active listening. This is not a passive act, but a disciplined skill requiring conscious effort. Truly good listeners consistently think before they speak, choosing thoughtful processing over immediate reaction, especially when emotions run high. They listen with respect, demonstrating complete engagement and making the speaker feel uniquely valued. Critically, before responding, they ask themselves, "Is it worth it?" This question forces a consideration of the potential impact of their words on the other person and the long-term consequences of the interaction, shifting focus from self-interest to mutual understanding. The hallmark of exceptional individuals is their ability to make anyone feel like the most important person in the room. Equally vital is the practice of expressing gratitude. Thanking is a fundamental human emotion that powerfully impacts relationships. Beyond formal etiquette, genuine gratitude creates positive closure, reinforcing the value of others' contributions. Actively cultivating gratitude fosters self-knowledge, revealing areas where assistance was needed and highlighting one's interdependencies. This habit profoundly benefits the recipient, reinforcing their worth and inspiring continued positive actions. It is a talent that matures with wisdom, strengthening connections and always yielding positive outcomes. Finally, to sustain personal change and transform good intentions into lasting habits, follow-up is indispensable. Without it, efforts risk becoming temporary initiatives, quickly forgotten. The act of asking others, "How am I doing?" is a powerful mechanism. It involves colleagues or peers in your journey, publicly signaling commitment and keeping you focused. When others acknowledge your progress, their belief reinforces your own, making the change more credible. The biggest obstacle to change is often the gap between understanding what to do and actually doing it. Follow-up bridges this by creating accountability, reminding people of your efforts, and helping overcome skepticism. This continuous engagement reinforces personal development as an ongoing process, not a one-time event, with external accountability partners making success far more likely. To complete this structured approach, Feed Forward offers a powerful, future-focused alternative to traditional feedback. Instead of analyzing past mistakes, it concentrates solely on generating actionable ideas for future improvement, bypassing common resistances associated with negative criticism. The process is simple. Identify a specific behavior to improve. For example, I want to be a better delegator. Share this objective with anyone. Request 2 specific suggestions for future action with no mention of the past, and then simply listen and say "thank you" without judgment or critique. This approach empowers the individual, avoids defensiveness, and fosters a collaborative, solution-oriented mindset. Leading with evolving wisdom, navigating modern influence. For successful individuals, particularly those in leadership roles, the path to continued growth is paved with specific rules and unique challenges. First, it's crucial to accurately diagnose the problem. Recognize what behavioral change can genuinely cure. Not all issues are behavioral flaws. Some stem from skill or knowledge gaps. Mistaking one for the other can lead to misdirected effort. For example, a team's declining productivity might be attributed to a manager's perceived micromanagement, when in fact, the team lacks a crucial new software skill. The correct diagnosis determines the correct solution. Second, leaders must select the right focus for change. In the face of multiple areas for improvement, the temptation to fix everything at once is self-defeating. Instead, identify the single most impactful flaw, often one highlighted repeatedly by others, and dedicate focused effort there. Trying to improve listening, delegation, and communication simultaneously is less effective than mastering one, which then often creates positive ripple effects across other areas. Third, a realistic perspective on the change ahead is vital. Whether it's a fitness goal or a behavioral shift, people often underestimate the time, effort, potential distractions, and ongoing maintenance required. Sustainable change demands a sustained, honest commitment, free from self-delusion about its ease. For instance, committing to stop adding too much value requires constant vigilance and mental restraint in every meeting, not just a one-time decision. Fourth, embrace uncomfortable truths. Actively seeking and absorbing feedback, even when it's painful, is non-negotiable for growth. Avoiding honest assessments, like postponing a difficult conversation with a peer or ignoring persistent murmurs of discontent, only prolong stagnation. Knowing the truth, however stark, is always the necessary first step towards effective transformation. Fifth, abandon the ideal of perfection. There is no perfect leader or flawless behavior. Striving for unattainable excellence in every domain leads to burnout and frustration. Instead, aim for better in one or two critical areas. A leader doesn't need to be universally adored. They need to address the behaviors that are actively undermining their effectiveness. A manager who consistently struggles with delegation might aim to empower their team on 2 specific projects rather than trying to become the ideal delegator overnight. Sixth, measure what you want to achieve. Even soft behaviors can be quantified. For example, a leader seeking to improve work-life balance might track dedicated, uninterrupted family time each week. A goal to listen more effectively could be measured by consciously asking open-ended questions and not interrupting for a set number of interactions daily. Tangible metrics transform abstract aspirations into actionable, trackable progress points. Seventh,
Incentivize the outcome. Using financial rewards or penalties can powerfully motivate behavioral change. A leader might impose a personal fine every time they engage in a specific undesirable behavior, donating the money to a cause they dislike, or offer a bonus to an assistant for calling out a recurring habit. This monetary connection can create a powerful, tangible incentive for consistent effort.
Finally, start now. The perfect time to initiate change, when life is less busy or projects are less demanding, rarely, if ever, arrives. Postponing action almost guarantees the change will never happen. Commit to starting immediately, even if it's just a small, manageable first step. Consistent, incremental action, no matter how minor, always outweighs waiting for a non-existent ideal future. Leaders also face a set of special challenges. They should consider creating a How to Handle Me guide, openly sharing their working style, quirks, and expectations with staff. This candor helps employees understand the boss's behavior and reduces misinterpretation, fostering a more effective working relationship. However, such a memo must be brutally honest and relevant, truly reflecting how staff experience their leader. Empowering staff is another critical task. Bosses often become overwhelmed by staff dependency. To prevent this, leaders must actively delegate more responsibility and encourage independent problem-solving, engaging their team in defining responsibilities and identifying areas where the boss can step back. For instance, a leader might empower a project manager to take full ownership of client communication rather than reviewing every email. Avoiding the golden rule fallacy is paramount. Managing others as you would want to be managed often fails because employees are not clones of the boss. A leader who thrives on intense debate might inadvertently shut down a team member who perceives such exchanges as personal attacks. Recognizing and accommodating diverse personalities and working styles is crucial for fostering open communication. The danger of checking the box, merely communicating a company mission or directive, is also significant. Leaders must actively follow up to ensure messages are not only received, but also understood, believed, remembered, and acted upon. Sending a company-wide email about a new strategic priority is insufficient. Leaders must continually reinforce, discuss, and demonstrate how that priority translates into daily action. Leaders must also overcome outdated prejudices about employees. This includes assuming money is the sole motivator, ignoring desires for learning or work-life balance, believing the boss always possesses superior knowledge, overlooking the specialized expertise of modern knowledge workers, resenting employees for prioritizing their own career growth, and underestimating the value and replaceability of top talent. Shedding these biases is vital for retaining talent and fostering a positive work environment. For instance, realizing that a rising star might value skill development and flexible hours more than a slight pay bump can change retention strategies. Finally, leaders must know when to stop coaching. Not all employees can or should be coached. It is ineffective to invest time and energy in individuals who do not believe they have a problem, are unwilling to change, are fundamentally in the wrong job, or consistently blame others. Focusing efforts on those genuinely open to improvement is more productive and preserves a leader's energy and influence. Modern leadership extends beyond these individual behavioral shifts, demanding a holistic mastery across diverse domains. It calls for leaders who can adeptly navigate a globally interconnected business landscape, demonstrating adaptability and a keen awareness of pervasive impacts. Essential is the appreciation of diversity, embracing varied perspectives, cultural, demographic, and experiential, to cultivate truly inclusive environments. Leaders must also possess technological savvy, not merely as a personal skill, but as a strategic enabler for attracting talent and enhancing productivity. The ability to build powerful partnerships, transforming competitive landscapes into collaborative ecosystems both internally and externally, fosters unity and mutual support. Critically, contemporary leadership advocates for sharing leadership, deferring to expertise, and prioritizing collective achievement over individual glory, thereby combating internal rivalries. Leaders are tasked with creating a compelling shared vision, inspiring commitment through clear communication and strategic planning. The human element remains central, requiring leaders to develop people through dignity, coaching, and timely feedback, and to empower individuals by building confidence and fostering autonomy, trusting them to excel without micromanagement. Personal growth is underscored by achieving personal mastery, a deep understanding of one's strengths, continuous self-development, and emotional intelligence. Finally, leaders must encourage constructive dialogue, demonstrate unwavering integrity, lead change as an opportunity, anticipate future growth opportunities, ensure end-to-end customer satisfaction, and maintain a competitive advantage through efficiency, accountability, and long-term value creation. Integrative analysis, or implications. The insights presented here fundamentally challenge the conventional wisdom that continued success is merely an extension of past capabilities. Instead, they illuminate a critical inflection point where the very behaviors that propelled an individual to prominence can become the insidious architects of their stagnation. The central paradox is that accomplishment itself often fosters a blindness, a success delusion that prevents the self-awareness necessary for the next phase of growth. This isn't about acquiring new complex skills, but rather about mastering the profound art of stopping detrimental, often subtle interpersonal habits. The journey towards sustained excellence therefore shifts from external achievement to internal transformation. It demands a rigorous self-examination, often uncomfortable, and an unwavering commitment to receiving and acting upon feedback, whether solicited or observed. The focus moves away from proving one's competence and toward a humble yet powerful willingness to learn and adapt. The prescribed methodology, feedback, apology, advertising change, listening, thanking, following up, and feed forward, is not a collection of isolated techniques, but a cohesive system for building genuine interpersonal efficacy and trust. It's a recognition that authentic leadership and influence are not dictated by authority alone, but forged in the crucible of consistent, respectful, and self-aware interaction. For individuals, especially those in positions of power, this framework implies a profound shift in mindset. The transition from merely doing to leading requires a heightened emotional intelligence and a willingness to shed the ego-driven beliefs that once served as motivators. The superstition trap highlights the dangers of attributing success to flawed behaviors, demanding a ruthless honesty about what truly drives results versus what is simply tolerated alongside them. Embracing this perspective allows leaders to cultivate environments where team members feel heard, valued, and empowered, rather than diminished or micromanaged. The emphasis on empowering staff, avoiding the golden rule fallacy, and challenging outdated prejudices about employees underscores a more enlightened approach to talent management, vital in today's dynamic workforce. Ultimately, the implications extend beyond individual career trajectory to broader organizational health and personal fulfillment. Organizations thrive when their leaders foster psychological safety, enable candid communication, and consistently model growth. A leader who commits to personal behavioral change creates a ripple effect, inspiring similar introspection and development across their teams. This cultivates a culture of continuous learning and adaptation, crucial for navigating an ever-evolving global landscape. On a deeper, personal level, these insights resonate with the timeless wisdom of what truly matters in life. The reflection of a 95-year-old self invariably emphasizes happiness in the present, the profound importance of friends and family, and the courage to follow one's true dreams. Mastery of self and relationships, rather than an endless pursuit of external achievements, becomes the ultimate measure of a life well lived. By consciously addressing interpersonal flaws and committing to continuous behavioral evolution, individuals not only unlock greater professional potential, but also cultivate a richer, more meaningful existence, one marked by deeper connections, genuine respect, and an enduring sense of purpose. The journey of becoming a more effective leader, therefore, is intrinsically linked to the journey of becoming a more fulfilled human being. Actionable exercises. 1. The success hinderer unmasking. Many successful people unknowingly cling to behaviors that once helped them but now subtly sabotage their growth. This exercise helps you unmask one such success hinderer. Reflect on your past achievements and the behaviors you believe contributed to them. Now consider if any of these actions, perhaps needing to win every argument, constantly adding your input, dominating conversations, or playing favorites, might actually be detrimental in your current role. Challenge the superstition trap. Is this behavior truly why you succeeded, or did you thrive in spite of it? Choose just one specific habit you suspect is now holding you back. For the next week, consciously practice inspired neutrality by making a deliberate effort to stop this behavior rather than trying to invent a new positive action. For example, instead of striving to be nicer, simply stop being sarcastic when a cutting remark comes to mind. Observe the impact of this omission on your interactions. 2. The future-focused gratitude practice. This practice strengthens your relationships and gathers actionable insights for your future growth. It combines the power of appreciation with forward-looking advice. Start each day by consciously identifying at least one person you can genuinely thank for something, big or small. Make sure to express that gratitude directly and sincerely before the day is over. Beyond daily thanks, once a week, choose one specific interpersonal behavior you genuinely want to improve. For example, I want to be a better listener. I want to be more patient. Approach a trusted colleague, friend, or family member for a brief feed-forward conversation. Clearly state your objective, then ask them for 2 specific suggestions you can implement in the future to help you achieve it. Listen attentively without judgment, interruption, or critique. Your only response is, "Thank you." Reflect on their suggestions afterward. No need to agree or disagree, just consider them. 3. The truth mirror feedback loop. To truly evolve, you need to understand how your behavior impacts others and commit to visible change. This exercise guides you through a powerful feedback and accountability cycle. Identify one interpersonal behavior you want to improve, either from your own self-reflection or based on subtle cues you've received in the past. Select 2 to 3 trusted colleagues, direct reports, or even family members. Approach each individually and ask a direct, open-ended question. How can I do better when it comes to your chosen behavior? Emphasize that you value their honest perspective and are committed to change. When receiving feedback, simply say, "Thank you." Avoid explanations or defensiveness. If their feedback reveals an impact you regret, offer a genuine, unadorned apology. "I'm sorry, I'll try to do better in the future." Then say nothing more. Briefly advertise your commitment by sharing the small adjustment you plan to make. Finally, schedule a follow-up conversation with them in 3 to 4 weeks and ask, "How am I doing on your chosen behavior?" 4. The 95-year-old you check-in. It's easy to get caught up in immediate goals, sometimes at the expense of what truly matters. This exercise helps you realign your efforts with your deepest values and long-term fulfillment. Take some quiet time to vividly imagine your 95-year-old self looking back on your life. What advice would that wise, older you give your current self about your priorities, goals, and daily actions? What would they say you should spend more time on, or less? Consider your current main professional and personal goals. Are you goal-obsessed in a way that might be sacrificing present happiness, important relationships, or your core dreams? Identify one current goal or daily activity that feels misaligned with the advice from your 95-year-old self. Now, formulate one small, tangible adjustment you can make this week to bring your current actions more in line with your long-term values. Perhaps dedicating an hour to a loved one, pursuing a forgotten hobby, or simply savoring a present moment without distraction. 5. Your How to Handle Me micro guide. Leaders often fall into the golden rule fallacy, managing others as they prefer to be managed. This exercise helps you clarify your working style to reduce misunderstandings and foster stronger relationships with your team and colleagues. Reflect honestly on your communication style, preferences, and any unique quirks you have. Think about times you've been misunderstood or when your good intentions didn't land as expected with others. Now create a very short 2 to 3 bullet points How to Handle Me micro guide. This isn't a detailed memo, but a quick snapshot of how best to work with you. Examples might include, I tend to process ideas out loud. It doesn't mean I've made a decision. Or, if I seem quiet, I'm likely deep in thought, not disengaged. Or, I appreciate direct feedback rather than subtle hints. Share this micro guide informally with 1 to 2 trusted colleagues or team members. Explain that you're working on self-awareness and better communication, and ask for their honest reaction. Is it accurate? Is it helpful? Be open to adjusting it based on their feedback, ensuring it genuinely clarifies your approach to collaboration. That wraps up our exploration of today's book. If even one idea here gave you something to reflect on, give it a like so YouTube knows to share more with you. And if you'd like the next insight in your feed, hit subscribe. Remember, what you heard today is our independent interpretation, enriched with analysis and exercises. The full book has far more depth, so consider reading it to experience the author's work directly. Thanks for listening to DeftU Insights, where we turn great books into tools for growth.